Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. This one has been one of those videos that has been in the works for a while, but I never got round to recording it. So I just wanted to get something out for the channel, and hopefully you will find this one quite interesting because I found it really interesting to research. So the topic of today's video is the tactical exercise, the defence of the Betws Garmon Defile, which took place near Wynfawr, or in the mountain passes of Snowdonia in 1941. So, just before we start, I'd just like to, I guess, introduce myself because I haven't done a video like this on the channel, just to let you know what I do. So I like to go around local museums, local schools, historical societies and so on, talking about this local history. I like to talk about the anti-invasion defences and the Home Guard. So that's my particular interest and passion. As well as talking about the Home Guard and the anti-invasion defences, I do like living history or reenactment, and all of this is dedicated to my hen tide, my great-grandfather, Private 5076 Hugh Owen, Number 1, Madron District Platoon, D, Nevin Company, 4th Cricket Battalion of the Carnarvonshire Home Guard. And he enrolled on the 30th of October 1940 and left on the 4th of July 1944. So all of this research and work and the reenactments and stuff, it's all dedicated to my great grandfather, who was in the local Home Guard to me, to where I live now. And these are just some of the photos. So from left to right, we have the webbing equipment of a Home Guard Sten gunner, Thompson submachine gunner, sorry. You have the leather 1939 pattern pouch. This is the unmodified example. You do have the leather 1939 pattern pouch modified, which was for the Sten gun magazines. But if you were issued with the Thompson submachine gun or the Browning automatic rifle, you had one of those leather 1939 pattern pouches, which is from the leather 1939 pattern webbing equipment. In the middle there is a Home Guard rifleman in Penllyn on the Llyn Peninsula, circa late 1942. You have the webbing equipment there, the pouches basic Home Guard pattern, which held the ammunition for the rifle and some Mills bombs. And then on the right there you have me demonstrating one of the infantry posts, or sangars, which are very common in the mountainous terrain of Snowdonia. So let me just set the scene for you for this exercise, which took place in 1941. So here we have probably the only good photo I can show of the general area, just so you can have an idea of what the terrain was like. So this is the main road up to Penagorid, or Penna Pass, from Beddgelert, and the photo was taken around 1938. And it's a really good photo that shows the terrain, the layout of the road, how narrow the road was compared to today. You have the high stone wall on the left side of the road, and then the stone wall on the right side of the road with the grassy bank going up to the right there. And this is typical of the roads around Snowdonia. Obviously these days they've been widened a bit for modern vehicles over the years, but this is a typical rural scene in Snowdonia just before the war, and it's quite similar to the terrain of the Betws Garmon Defile. So just to set you the scene of the exercise which was to take place. So I came across this exercise in a newspaper article written by a correspondent in 1941 titled "Welsh Village Home Guards Know Their Job." So I'm just going to read this for you now, and we'll get into the rest of it later in the video. Quite by chance, I happened to witness one of the best field exercises I have ever seen carried out by a Carnarvonshire battalion of the Home Guard. Taking a few days' holiday in some of the most beautiful mountainous parts of North Wales, I came upon a small party of Home Guards falling in with such smartness that I approached the officer in charge and asked him if I might watch the drill. Satisfying himself of my bona fides, he at once introduced me to the battalion commander. It was explained to me that a rather ambitious scheme was about to be staged, and I was given the opportunity of watching. There were no regular troops to assist the battalion, and no staff officers to give advice. In fact, I was about the only spectator. I spent the afternoon with the zone commander, a retired senior officer, who pointed out any faults he detected. I gave credit for any meritorious bit of work. He explained that the officers were local men who gave up most of their spare time to training the men, and that in winter this was by no means easy. The men tramping several miles from one village to another, frequently in dreadful weather, to attend parades. The NCOs and men were of all types: professional, business, quarry workers and farmhands, but all worked together as a village unit, the company being formed by the platoons from neighbouring hamlets. Smokescreen attack. The general scheme had been drawn up by the battalion commander, but beyond that, every detail had been worked out by company and platoon commanders. A mountainous defile, strongly held by one company, was to be attacked by a superior force from another company, representing the enemy. The attack was perfectly timed and made under cover of a homemade smokescreen. The umpires were pleased at the way the attacking force advanced over difficult country without giving their position away. On the right flank, about 50 men covered a distance of over a mile and approached within 30 yards of their objective before being spotted. The operation orders, both by company and platoon officers, were complete to the smallest detail. Scouts, motorcycle dispatch riders, mobile columns, signal system, evacuation of wounded all had their orders in detail. The outer defences having been captured exactly to time, up came a number of buses driven by Home Guard members and outpoured the main attacking force, complete with all the latest weaponry, machine guns, etc., and stormed the strong points. It was noticeable the use made of camouflage, much of it improvised from homemade gadgets by the men themselves, but most effective. The ceasefire was ordered, and immediately uprolled a mobile canteen manned by members of the WVS, and in very few minutes every man was provided with refreshments. The zone and battalion commanders briefly addressed the officers and men, and the umpires from each sector gave highly constructive and valuable criticism. The general conclusion was that much remained to be learned, but to have reached the present state of training showed hard work and study on the part of all ranks. So that was the newspaper clipping, and it was dated 8th of August 1941. And here we have two photos, some recent photographs that I've come across of the Carnarvon area Home Guard. So on the left here, this one's dated sort of late 1940, and this is one of the Carnarvon platoons, so A Company, 3rd Carnarvonshire Battalion. I'm unsure which platoon yet, unfortunately. And then on the right here, the group photograph, again I'm unsure of the dates, but they have the Home Guard County and Battalion insignia, so it's post 1942, and this is the Carnarvon area home guard, so A Company, 3rd Carnarvonshire Battalion. And the gentleman in the centre there is, I think, the battalion commander. I have seen his face before in photographs in the Carnarvon archives, which I haven't got access to at this time, but I'm pretty sure that's him. With members, well, it seems to be officers and NCOs of A Company, 3rd Carnarvonshire Battalion. So this is where the exercise took place, and this is Plas Nant, or Betws Garmon, near Rhyddy in Snowdonia. And as you can see by this defence map, which you have seen in previous videos made on this channel, you can see some of the defences dotted about the place here. So I just want to read the research, how I came across all of this. So the newspaper clipping was sent to me by someone called Linda Dennis back in 2020 during the lockdown, along with a few other newspaper clippings, and they were a massive help to my research. I was quite curious to find out where the exercise took place, so I had to read it a few times, break it down, see what clues were in there, and I did know I had a date to work with, 8th of August 1941, for the publication of the article in question, so I knew it was August 1941. So I had that date to work with, and a clue, quote, a mountainous defile strongly held by one company, so that's a good clue. And this is where the interesting part happens for me. I was in my local archives and I was looking through some files on 3rd Carnarvonshire Battalion, in particular B Penygroes Company files, which are probably one of the best surviving Home Guard files in the county, which is a shame it's only 3rd Carnarvonshire Battalion and not all the others, but you know, at least we get an idea of what the others got up to. Anyway, I was looking through B Company's files. I turned over a document and there it was, the newspaper clipping with a bunch of documents that were pinned together, and the newspaper clipping was held on with an old rusty bit of paperclip on all the documents. So there it was, the exercise which I've been researching for over 3 years, and I find it there, so I was very happy when I find that. So that exercise, this was the scheme. So in late July, Major General Robert Clive Bridgman organised a scheme, a propaganda event with all Home Guards across the country. The idea was that the Home Guard would take part in local exercises organised by themselves, and the media would be there to cover it. Officer commanding 3rd Carnarvonshire Battalion wrote to all company commanders in his sector, Sector 16, and outlined some ideas, one of them being a defence of the Betws Garmon Defile, which is what you can see here. So, tactical exercise, the defence of Betws Garmon Defile. The exercise was to take place on the 3rd of August 1941, with B Penygroes Company defending the defile and A Carnarvon Company attacking. B Company was to have their temporary headquarters at Plas Isav, which you can see here on my mouse cursor. That's the farm there, Plas Isav. They had to keep a section of Home Guards at Penygroes, quote, armed to the teeth, just in case Jerry tried anything while they were practicing. They had the platoon commander's headquarters at Penygair, along with their first aid post, with mobile reserve hidden in Plas Nant Woods. So this is Penygair here. This was platoon headquarters, which is where they had their first aid post as well. And then this is Plas Nant Woods here. This wooded area here is where they had their mobile reserve. Food supplies were located in Placenant, and the reserve ammunition was to be brought up in haversacks. The attack was made by 3 platoons of A Company. A 3-pronged attack was to be made on the Betws Garmon defiles as follows. So, one attack right of the A4085 looking towards the defile, made by 4 sections of number 1 platoon. So this way, they were going up the railway line. By August of 1941, the Welsh Highland Railway here was overgrown, basically. In late 1940 into early 41, they were scrapping a lot of the track, so I think quite a lot of the railway sleepers were still there, but the actual track had long since been removed, so it was just an overgrown railway track bed. So that's where they made their attack, up here, where this green arrow is here. Then you had the attack along the road made by number 3 platoon with 1 section from number 1 platoon. So here along the road. And then attack on the left side of the road was made by number 2 platoon. So they made their way up through up around the edge of the mountain here, through this wooded area and the field, and they were tasked with taking out a, quote, crow's nest, which had a Lewis gun, and that was somewhere up here. I haven't found that yet, but I believe that overlooked the Flamethrower gas site here. So their orders, so the attackers' orders were simple. The convoy must get through, which consisted of a few motorcycles, a few cars, and about 5 buses from the Crossfield Bus Company. So that's the Carnarvon Home Guard Bus Company. When the convoy was to reach when the convoy was to reach the Placenant roadblock, which had several hairpin anti-tank obstacles and bent steel joists, they were to clear the roadblock. But for this exercise, only 1 hairpin was inserted into the road socket to simulate a fully armed roadblock. So, if we go back one, this pin right here, where my mouse cursor is, that's the Placenant roadblock. And you had several hairpins, which were railway tracks bent into the shape of a hairpin, not the bent rails or the bent RSJs, which for some reason people call hairpins. They're not hairpins, they're bent steel joists. And the bent rails are just called bent rails. The hairpins are the hairpin shaped railway tracks, which were the main part of a roadblock. So they had 1 hairpin inserted into the socket here in the middle of the road to simulate a fully armed roadblock. They were to remove the obstacle and keep it at the side of the road with the other stacked up obstacles. The defile was defended by number 5 Talsarn Nantlle Rhyd platoon, B Company, with a detachment from Waimawr, C Company. The defenders wore steel helmets with respirators worn in the alert's position. Their order was, quote, final orders, fight and hold on to the last man. So this area was defended by number 5 platoon, which comprised of 3 villages or hamlets in the Rhyd Nantlle area. So you had Talsarn, Nantlle and Rhyd, those villages came together, and formed a platoon. And then you had a section from Waimawr as well. The defences at Placenant were to be manned by 14:30 hours, and the attack was expected any moment after that time. Blanks were difficult to get a hold of, so empty tin cans with stones inside were to simulate rifle and machine gun fire, and for grenades, Hessian bags filled with slate dust was used. So, 1941, that makes sense. The limited amount of blank ammunition to practice with, so they just made do, which is what the Home Guard did. So the exercise finished at 16:30 hours with the code word V ... dash in Morse code being sounded by the umpire's cars. Now, this is the other interesting bit about the WVS towards the end of that newspaper clipping that I read to you. The Carnarvon WVS mobile canteen was there ready to feed everyone involved. Miss Gwyn E. Owen was the regional officer, and they fed approximately 270 men with tea and sandwiches, all within 3/4 of an hour with no delay. So that was the defence of Betws, Garmon, Defile on the 3rd of August 1941, which is really interesting, and this is where they attacked. So let's have a look exactly what some of the objectives were. So this is the railway bridge at Place Nantes. Down here you have Place Nantes halt today, where the train stops. If you know the area, this place is quite overgrown now, but it gives you a good idea of what the area looked like. I believe this is pre-war. I don't have a date for this, unfortunately. The roadblock was roughly here, where my mouse cursor is. This bridge had some kind of barricade. I believe it was a knife rest barricade of some description or some type, and that blocked the bridge. By 1942, when the Blacker Bombard or the Spigot mortars started to be issued out to the companies within the battalion, a concrete mounting was placed roughly here in 1942 and sunken into a circular trench or pit, and it was there up until quite recently, where when they redid the track at Place Nantes, that was lifted out of place and it was placed over here next to Place Nantes halt. So it's nice that the Welsh Highland Railway people saved that local heritage, which is really important. Up and to the right of that position there was another spigot mortar position. Again, we've covered the Place Nantes defences in detail on a different video, but you did have another concrete emplacement here in a square sangar emplacement. So during the exercise this was one of the objectives, so the attack is coming from this direction, not from this direction, just to let you know. So here's a bit more information on that railway roadblock. So, quote, put up in 1940, then taken down briefly to allow the demolition train to cross in 1941. And then another quote, although the Festiniog Railway lease did not officially end until the 31st of December 1942, and arrangements with the LMS at Dinas were due to end on the 30th of June 1943, in March 1941 the Ministry of Transport stated that the railway had a history of losses and that there was no prospect of it reopening. Consequently, the Ministry of Supply, faced with acute wartime shortages, requisitioned the materials for £1,280, the money going to the official receiver. The track was removed under a requisition order issued on the 13th of March 1941 under the Defence Regulations 1939, which authorised the British Iron and Steel Corporation, Scrap Limited, of London to remove the articles specified in the order. So, yeah, it was removed in March, and obviously by August this track bed's quite overgrown. I take it the roadblock, the barricade, was put up back on the bridge, and here's a good photo taken somewhere in Norfolk by some train station, I don't know where, but it's a really good photo of a knife rest barricade with the barbed wire. So that's what I sort of imagined was there, just to block that to stop infantry from crossing. So this is not a photo of the Placenant roadblock, but it's actually the Port Penrhyn Bangor roadblock. Unfortunately, no date, but this is the type of obstacles that were at the Placenant roadblock. So when the exercise was taking place on the 3rd of August 1941, you only had one of these hairpins inserted into the socket. So that's the hairpin socket there, which is one cast concrete piece with 2 socket holes, and that was for the hairpin. So that's a hairpin, and then that is a bent steel joist, and that's a small bent steel joist, so that's a large one, small one, and then hairpin, just to clarify that point. So to look at what the roadblock would have looked like fully armed, at Placenant you would have had the small, medium and large anti-tank cylinders set up with the stones on the floor to stop them from rolling about if they were knocked over. You had these Mark II mine sockets for Mark IV anti-tank mines in the road surface just in front of the barricade. And then in the back here you have the bent steel joists and hairpins. Another roadblock which needed to be overcome was the Castell Kidwm roadblock, which was a bit further back near the lake, and this is what it looked like set up, with the hairpins in the back and then the bent steel joist in the front with the cylinders. This is an old 3D model which I didn't quite finish, but I guess shows you visually what it would have looked like. So let's have a look at these strong points that I mentioned in the article. So if we go back and read the article again, if I can try and find it, just give us a second. Operation. Give us a second. I can't find it. Anyway, in the article, they mentioned the storming of strong points. Now there were several strong points in Placenant, but I think what they're talking about is the pillboxes. You have 2 pillboxes at Placenant. You had this one, which is Placenant number 2, and that had 2 Brandon automatic rifles, 3 riflemen, and a runner. That was what was posted in the pillbox during the weekend exercise, during the 3rd of August 1941 exercise. And the second pillbox, which is probably one of the coolest in the area, this is the Placenant number 1 pillbox, and this one is perched up above the railway track and the railway bridge, has good field of fire, and is concealed well. And this one had the Lewis gun, 4 riflemen and 2 runners. So Placenant number 1 had 1 runner, and that runner was keeping in contact with the men in this pillbox. So he was running back and forth, keeping communication between these 2 posts. And then these 2 runners here in this pillbox, they were keeping in contact with platoon headquarters, which was at Penneguide here. So there's Placenant number 1, where my mouse cursor is. There's number 2. So the runner is keeping in contact with this pillbox and platoon headquarters, and this pillbox is keeping in contact with platoon headquarters and the pillbox down here. Let's go back again. There we go. So let's have a closer look at some of these fortified positions. So this is Placenant number 1. Quite grainy photograph, I do apologise for that. If you have a look here, that's where the entranceway was. Fortunately it's been blocked up now, but it would have had some sort of tunnel entrance roughly around here. I have taken photos from one of the embrasures in the front of the pillbox, and you can see that that is bricked up, unfortunately. And here you can just about see the two embrasures, and these two are facing the Placenant roadblock, which is down here. If we have a look at this, the railway track is going along here towards the bridge, and then down here is the road where Placenant is. So that those two embrasures, where I'm standing, where I've taken that photograph, those two embrasures are overlooking that roadblock. What's quite interesting about this pillbox is this wall here. Now, obviously it's been camouflaged, it's been faced with local stone, all this is loose. It's not been concreted into place, this is all loose stone, just to sort of camouflage it a bit more, make it blend in. So there was originally a stone wall going along here in this sort of shape. They've built the pillbox, and then they've taken some of those stones and faced the pillbox with the remains of that wall in this area. And if we have a look, you can see how they've tried to blend in that pillbox with the existing wall. And again, you can see the embrasure there, the gun embrasure overlooking the Placenant roadblock. So here is an interior view of Placenant number 1. Here is that blocked up entranceway, which is a massive shame. I'd love to get inside here and take better photos, but this is what sticking my phone in, quite risky. Place is filled with water, and obviously there's no way of getting your phone out if you do drop it, but there's a good photo showing inside. You have two embrasures covering the rear of the pillbox, looking facing through there. You have these two embrasures on this side covering Placenant roadblock, and then you have the three on the front here facing down the railway track, facing the other pillbox number 2, and then this one is facing up on up the side of the pillbox. Excuse me. Also, you can see those concrete embrasure plugs. Those were there. The idea behind them was to block the embrasures to stop bullets from coming in and hitting someone. But from all accounts, I think it was used to mainly keep the occupants dry from the bad weather in the area. So here is here's more photos of Placenant number 1 pillbox. The embrasure here is looking up the railway track and covering the entranceway here. And you have 3 embrasures on this side facing the railway track and up the road. So the attack in the exercise is coming in. You can see in the background here, that's the main road going to Garmon. So A company's making its way up here, the attack, and they're making their way up the railway track here. Number 2 platoon, I think, making their way up towards this strong point, and this was one of their objectives. Excuse me. Here's the closer view of the embrasure and the entranceway. And here is a view of inside. Now, thankfully, you can actually go inside this one, which is brilliant. And the concrete embrasure plugs are still there. The rest of them are on the floor, as you can see in this photograph. And then here's the firing step. And this side is this side here with the firing step is facing towards the railway. The railway line's down here. Now the Placenant roadblock, this was from a sort of recent visit. I think I may have found one of the bent steel joist sockets. Now I could be wrong, and don't quote me on this, but I think this is roughly where it was. Again, it's in the bend of the road. There's indentation. Can't say the word. There's dents in the road that look like sockets. And this one here, you can see, roughly looks like one of those bent steel joist sockets for the 8x4 RSJ bent at 45 degrees. So I think that's one of them here. So another interesting defensive feature which popped up in 1941 was a loopholed wall for a flamethrower. So this is an approximate precision, and it was for one flamethrower. I am unsure if it was the quote home guard flamethrower or the Harvey flamethrower. I'm unsure of that, because you had the home guards homemade types, and then you had the Harvey flamethrower, which was basically they got all the parts together, and then they basically had a set of do-it-yourself instructions to build it. So that, I think, overlooked the Placenance roadblock, the bend in the road here, so it was roughly in this general area to cover that straight bit of road and the road going this way up to Penagair. And here is just a film showing you what the Harvey flamethrower is. So you can imagine a loopholed wall here. You have the hose leading to the nozzle here, and then they light it up. This is all pressurized gas in here, and then this is the sort of damage it would do. And this is in colour as well, which is incredible. So, you know, that's squirting out down the road, that, you know, spooks the German tank crews or enemy infantry moving up the road. So here's the Harvey flamethrower, which is more mobile. He's having difficulty lighting it there. So there you go. So that pointing out of a loopholed wall, a stone loopholed wall. And then this is the home guard flamethrower, which looks a lot different. You know, we've got an oil drum there on the carriage, and it's a bit more crudely made compared to the Harvey flamethrower, it seems. And here you can see the damage it would do, which is quite incredible. So that's the Harvey flamethrower. And flame fugas camouflaged on the side of the road here. So this is where one platoon was attacking through the field and through the forest. Another platoon and a section making its way up the road here. And then you have the other side, number 2 platoon, which is making its way up the railway track there on the other end. But that's where one of the flame fugas barrels were, 1940 onwards. And they had that was a battery of 3 barrels. So in conclusion, it was a well-coordinated field exercise. A well-coordinated field exercise which was conducted by Carnarvonshire Home Guard Battalion, showcasing high training standards. So this was part of their winter training program in 1941, I believe, and they had another one in 42. The operation included a simulated attack on a mountainous defile, so this was Betws Garmon, we know that now, with one company defending, so B, Penagrois Company, it was 1 platoon, number 5 platoon, against a superior attacking force, which was A, Carnarvon Company. So the attacking force advanced covertly, covering over a mile without detection, and then successfully took the defensive positions under a smoke screen. So they took Placenant number 1 by using camouflage and stalking tactics and their smoke screens, and they managed to take that defensive position. Then the exercise demonstrated comprehensive planning with precise coordination involving scouts, dispatch riders, signal systems and evacuation protocols. And then camouflage and improvised equipment created by the men themselves enhanced the effectiveness of the operation. And then after the exercise, the WVS mobile canteen provided refreshments, senior officers delivered valuable feedback and recommendations, And then this training highlighted the Home Guard's readiness, adaptability and dedication despite challenging conditions and limited resources. So a really interesting bit of research, and again it's amazing what you can find in the local archives. I'd just like to say thank you for watching this video. I do apologise for the coughing. I will try to remove most of it in editing if I can. I'm not well at the moment, which is why I'm making this video, because I've had time off work to well, rest, so I thought, well, I wanted to do something over the weekend, so I thought I'd do this video. And then yeah, so thank you very much for watching.